Let me ask you a question that might shake something loose inside you. What are you chasing right now? Maybe it's success. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's peace or money or validation or even enlightenment. Whatever it is, you probably feel like if you can just get there, just grab it, you'll finally be okay. Finally safe. Finally enough. But what if I told you the chase is the very thing keeping you from what you want? That's the paradox no one talks about. The more you chase something, the more it runs from you. And we're not just talking about goals here. We're talking about how we live, how we exist. We've built a world around chasing, a culture of pursuit, hustle culture, the grind, the endless scroll, emotional FOMO. And deep down, we believe a dangerous lie that fulfillment lies just one step ahead of us. But here's the truth that might change everything. What you're chasing isn't out there, it's already inside you. You've just been running so fast, you haven't stopped long enough to feel it. And in this video, we're going to break that down, not with fluff or vague positivity, but with real, logical, soul-piercing clarity. Stick with me, because we're going to dismantle the very foundation of the chase.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
And by the end, you might see that the thing you've been running toward is what you've been running from all along. Let's start here. What is the chase? Philosophically, the chase is the tension between what is and what could be. It's the engine of desire, the pull of potential. And don't get me wrong, desire isn't bad. It's human, it's powerful, it's creative. But when desire turns into obsession, when it becomes the only lens we see through, we stop living in the present and start living in the gap between now and not yet. And that gap becomes our identity. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when, but when we get there, the goalpost moves. And so we chase again. This is the hamster wheel of the modern mind, always spinning, never arriving. Why do we do it? Because we believe that movement equals meaning, and that progress is purpose, that stillness is failure. But let me ask you something radical. What if stillness is where meaning actually lives? What if the real treasure isn't at the end of the chase, but buried right under where you're standing? We've been conditioned to believe that stopping is weakness, that if you're not striving, you're falling behind, that if you're not chasing, you're invisible. But here's the philosophical twist. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you become visible to yourself. You begin to see not who you're trying to be, but who you already are. And that's terrifying, because we've built our self-worth around becoming, around improvement, around someday. So when we stop, we have to sit with the now. And the now is messy, uncomfortable, unfinished. But it's also the only place where truth lives. Let's go deeper. Why do we chase? Because we're trying to escape something. Not just poverty or loneliness or inadequacy, but silence. We chase because silence forces us to confront what we're avoiding. And what we're avoiding is usually a part of ourselves. That's why stopping feels like death, because it threatens the identity we've built through motion. But here's the paradox: you can't outrun yourself. No matter how far you chase, you're still there waiting. And often, the further you run, the more fragmented you become. The chase splits you. There's you right here, and the version of you you think you need to become. And that split creates suffering. It's what the Buddha called dukkha, the unsatisfactoriness of life when we're caught in craving. But what if we could collapse that split? What if you could be whole now, not later? Not after the goal, not after the followers, the money, the clarity, the healing. Now, that's the power of stopping the chase. It returns you to yourself, and it opens the door to something deeper than pleasure, deeper than adrenaline, deeper than even accomplishment. It opens the door to peace. Not the peace that comes from achievement, but the peace that comes from alignment. And alignment doesn't require movement. It requires presence. Let me give you an example. Have you ever noticed that when you stop looking for your keys, that's when you find them? Or when you stop obsessing over a creative idea, it suddenly lands in your mind clean, sharp, complete. That's not coincidence. That's the collapse of mental tension. When you stop grasping, your mind opens. When you stop chasing, your being expands. And that expansion is where life begins to flow. It's what athletes call the zone, what artists call flow state, what mystics call union. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing without forcing it. But here's the catch: you can't fake non-chasing. You can't stop chasing to get something else. That's still chasing. True surrender is not a tactic. It's a transformation. It's the moment you realize that what you were trying to get was always trying to find you. But it couldn't reach you while you were running. So here's a question that might change your entire orientation to life. What if everything you're chasing is already looking for you but can only find you when you become still enough to be found? Let that sit, because that's the fork in the road. You keep running, and you might get there, but you'll be exhausted, disconnected, and unsure if the prize was worth the pain. Or stop, right here, right now, and feel what's already here. Yes, it might be uncomfortable at first. Yes, it might bring up fear, or grief, or doubt. But beneath that, there's something waiting. Not a goal, not a trophy, but you, the you that isn't trying to become anything. The you that is already whole, already worthy, already enough. And when you find that version of you, when you reconnect to that truth, you unlock the ability to move through the world with clarity, not chaos, with power, not panic, with love, not lack. So here's the final question for this first part of our journey. If you stop chasing today, what would rise within you tomorrow? Think about that, not as a metaphor, not as a philosophy, but as a real-life decision. Because the chase isn't just something we do. It's something we are until we choose not to be. And that choice? That's where your life begins to change forever. In the last part, we uncovered a powerful truth: the chase doesn't just exhaust us, it separates us from who we really are. But here's the next layer of the puzzle. The chase isn't just about what we want. It's about who we think we are. And this is the real trap. Because the person doing the chasing, that identity, it's not fixed. It's not even fully real. It's a story you've been telling yourself. A mask built from memory, comparison, and survival. So now we have to ask the question most people are too afraid to ask. Who are you when you're not chasing? See, we don't just chase things. We chase versions of ourselves. The stronger version, the richer version, the more desirable version, and the more healed version. the version that has it all figured out. And we attach our identity to that version like it's our golden ticket to finally being okay. But here's the philosophical twist: you're not chasing the future you. You're running from the present you. That's why it never ends, because no matter how much progress you make, the identity you're running from is still there, underneath the upgrades, the affirmations, the goals. You know what I mean. You hit the goal, and you feel good for 5 minutes, maybe 5 days. And then the voice returns, the one that says, "Now what?" So you set the next goal. Reinvent yourself again. Chase harder. But the one thing you never do is stop and turn around. Because if you did, you'd have to face the one thing every chase is trying to avoid, the fear that the current version of you isn't enough. And that's the identity trap. We build ourselves around lack, around deficiency, around the belief that we must become something else to be worthy of love, impact, peace. But here's where things get wild. That not enough identity, it's not yours, it was given to you. Maybe you picked it up in childhood. Maybe it came from a parent who withheld affection, and a teacher who humiliated you, a friend who betrayed you, and a society that told you your worth depended on performance. And you believed it, so you started building. You stacked achievements, smiled through pain, hustled for love, adapted, performed, achieved, and it worked. People praised you. They admired your drive. They told you how strong and resilient you are. But deep down you knew the truth. You were never building a life, you were building a defense, a fortress. Not to protect yourself from the world, but to protect the world from seeing the parts of you you believed were unlovable. So here's the real question. If you stopped chasing the better version of you, would you still be worthy of love? If the answer terrifies you, good, because that's the edge. That's where transformation begins. Philosopher Alan Watts once said, "Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth." And he was right. The moment you try to solidify who you are, you trap yourself in a loop. Because identity, by nature, is fluid, alive, evolving, but the chase tries to freeze it. It says, "You are not enough yet, but once you become this version, then what? Then you'll let yourself breathe? Then you'll stop punishing yourself? Then you'll rest? Here's the truth. If you can't love yourself now, you won't love yourself when you get there. Because the problem was never your lack of achievement. The problem is the framework, the lens that tells you love must be earned. That peace is a prize. That wholeness is a finish line. But life doesn't work that way. You are not a product to be perfected. You are an experience to be lived. And that experience includes failure, confusion, chaos, stillness, joy, heartbreak, boredom, breakthroughs, all of it. So when you stop chasing the ideal self, something extraordinary happens. You begin to meet yourself as you are. And not just meet, but accept. And not just accept, but enjoy. That's not laziness, that's liberation. It's the difference between running on a treadmill and walking in a forest. One exhausts you, the other awakens you. Let me give you a real-world example. Have you ever met someone who radiates peace not because they've achieved everything, but because they've stopped needing to? They're not loud, they're not trying, they're just present. And yet, their presence moves you more than any performance ever could. That's power. Not the power of domination, but the power of alignment. And you can't chase your way there. You return to it. That's the invitation, not to abandon growth, but to grow from a different place, from love, not lack, from clarity, not confusion, from truth, not fear. So let me ask you again, but this time let it land in your bones. Who are you when you stop trying to be someone else? What's left? Silence? Stillness? Maybe. But also freedom. Because once the identity crumbles, once the chase ends, once the performance stops, you're finally home. And that's when life stops being a competition and becomes a conversation with yourself, with others, with the moment. And in that conversation, you don't have to prove anything. You just have to listen. So here's your challenge for the next 24 hours. Stop trying to become. Just be. Notice what rises, what falls, what whispers beneath the noise. Because the truth is, stopping the chase doesn't mean you stop moving. It means you stop running from yourself. And when you do, you'll realize something incredible. You were never behind. You were just facing the wrong direction. Now we arrive at the most misunderstood word in personal growth: enough. It's quiet. It's soft. It doesn't shout like more. It doesn't sparkle like better. But it holds something sacred that most of us overlook our entire lives. Enough is not mediocrity. It's not settling. It's not giving up. Enough is the doorway to peace. And here's the shocking twist. You don't find enough by adding more. You find it by letting go. Letting go of the illusion that your life will only begin once you've achieved, acquired, or proven something. Because when we talk about stopping the chase, we're really talking about surrender. Now, I know surrender sounds weak, passive, like giving up. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about active surrender, conscious surrender. The kind of surrender that says, I no longer need to force what's already flowing toward me. I no longer need to grip the future to feel safe in the present. That kind of surrender is a superpower. It's not resignation, it's realignment. It's choosing to live in harmony with the truth of your life instead of fighting against it. Think about this. What if life has already been trying to give you what you've been chasing, but you've been too busy running to receive it? This is the ultimate paradox. The moment you stop needing something is often the moment it arrives. Because you've finally made space for it, not just in your schedule, but in your being. Let's break this down logically. Why doesn't chasing work? Because chasing implies distance. It assumes that what you want is out there, separate from you, and that you must bridge the gap through effort, force, or control. But what if that gap is an illusion? What if the only thing separating you from peace, love, or clarity is your belief that it's not already yours? That belief, that inner scarcity, is the engine of the chase. And it doesn't matter how fast you run, how much you achieve, how many people applaud you. If that engine is still running, you'll never feel full. Because fulfillment doesn't come from outside in. It comes from inside out. It's not about what you get. It's about what you stop resisting. Let me ask you something that might flip your whole worldview. What would your life look like if you lived as if you already had everything you needed? Think about it. Not in a theoretical, spiritual bypass way, but really if you believed you were enough, had enough, knew enough, what would change? Would you still chase that relationship? Would you still drown in your to-do list? Would you still compare your life to strangers online? Or would you finally exhale? Because that exhale, that's the beginning of flow. And flow is the opposite of the chase. Flow doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you grow from abundance, not anxiety. It means you move with life, not against it. It means you stop grabbing and start receiving. And the second you enter that space, reality shifts, opportunities show up, ideas download, people start responding differently. Not because magic is happening, but because you're no longer blocking the magic with your desperation. That's the power of surrender. It clears the interference. It removes the noise. It allows you to hear the whisper of life again. But here's the catch: you can't fake surrender. You can't pretend to let go just so you can get what you want faster. That's spiritual manipulation. Real surrender is non-attached action. It's showing up fully, giving your heart, doing your part, but not tying your worth to the outcome. It's saying, I trust the unfolding of this moment, even if it doesn't look like my plan. That's terrifying at first, but it's also the most liberating thing you'll ever feel. Because when you stop trying to control life, you start to experience it. You start to feel again, breathe again, live again, and this is where the wow moment happens. Because the life you were chasing, it starts to meet you. Not because you earned it, but because you finally stopped pushing it away. You finally became available to receive it. And now, you're not just surviving. You're participating. You're co-creating with life, not negotiating against it. Let me tell you something that might sound crazy, but is completely true. The greatest things in life often come not when you chase harder, but when you finally stop running. Running from your fear, running from your worth, running from the silence. Because in the silence, there's a voice. Not the voice of your ego, not the voice of your inner critic, but the voice of your knowing, your deep, unshakable, ancient knowing that you were never broken, never behind, never lacking, only distracted, only disconnected, only caught in a game you didn't know you were playing. And now you're waking up. So what do you do next? You stop, you breathe, you ask yourself one simple question: what would it look like to live as if I've already arrived? And then you live that answer. Not tomorrow, not after the next milestone. Now, because now is where life is happening. Now is where peace lives. Now is where you are. And you are not a problem to be solved. You are a presence to be felt, a soul to be met, a being who is already whole, already enough, already home. So stop the chase and let life find you finally at rest, at peace, at one. Because that's not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of everything that matters. This is why stopping the chase will change your life forever.